All right. And we have another conference that we were able to go to. It's Fall Q. It used to be known as Computer Using Educators, but they go by Q now. We've done quite a bit in our district. If you see the Bits and Bytes or our MCS EdTech Explorers with the ISTE standards. ISTE is the International Society for Technology and Education. They're the premier standards using tech in the classroom, and we're trying to promote that more. Well, Q is the California affiliate of ISTE. So Q is definitely meaningful and purposeful ways to use technology in the classroom. And they host affiliate meetings. So there is a Q in our Central Valley here. It's called Central Valley Q, CCQ. And it's something that you can join. And then they offer different after school events. And I think it's like 6 different counties are part of CCQ. So that's one area you can get involved if you're interested in ed tech in those areas. Q, the organization, offers a fall and spring Q conference. That's really good for us to go to and get updated and see what other schools are doing in California. So we're going to share some ideas from the Fall Q conference. And we have Armando up first.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Get my camera shared over there, I think. Let's see, oh, wait, hang on, let me get my screen back. Send that live. There we go, I got my screen. Angela, if you could switch my camera on there, that'd be great. So as Matthew said, we had the opportunity to attend Fall Q. I believe it was in October, and it was a really, really great conference. A lot of different opportunities for learning different ways of making education effective and different strategies to use. I had the opportunity to take part in a course that was designed initially around creating a 1-minute documentary. But what I found is that in trying to explore ways to support the ISTE standard of creative communicator, and I actually stumbled upon something that I thought was very relevant to what we're doing in terms of supporting all learners, one of our instructional core precepts, and that would be kind of framing a discussion around what's your perspective. So I'm going to show you a few slides here, and it'll kind of go over the exercise I got the opportunity to take a part in, and perhaps it's something you might find useful in your classroom to support your students in different opportunities for learning. So what you see in front of you here, we were presented with 2 pictures, no information about those 2 pictures, and then given a prompt to tell the story of what we see in that picture. And as you can see on the slide here, perception is a very interesting thing. I'm sure all of you watching have your own ideas of what's happening in these pictures. And so the idea behind the exercise is that you would take 2 pictures if you're choosing. It could be relevant to the subject matter you're teaching or a specific content you want to highlight, and present it to your students to tell a story based on that picture. There's no wrong answer. It's what do they see? And that also allows you to not only give your students an open world to play in, but it gives you a window into kind of their internal thinking to see maybe what their perspective on a certain thing is. So again, in this scenario, they would choose an image and then create a paragraph story to tell them what's happening. It could only be a paragraph, but be as detailed as they like, and then try to tell a story rather than just saying a child running in the forest. Like, what's he running to? Why is he running? Is he happy? Is he sad? Why is he happy? Why is he sad? So getting those details out to really help your learners explore a picture and create their own story around it. And the exercise actually went one step further, and this was a challenging part. So it asked them to use a Padlet. In our course, we actually created our Padlet and we put in what our story was, right? So we could kind of have a group collective sharing environment there to really see what everyone's perspective is. And with Padlet, you can make it anonymous in case some students are, reluctant to share, that to kind of reemphasize that there is no such thing as a wrong answer. But it is very interesting once you see that, and it breeds a discussion in our learning group of, wow, I never thought of something that way, or, oh, the child on the right, is he happy? Is he sad? Is he scared? Why is he those things? So it really helped us to kind of not only see an interesting way of looking at things, but give you a little bit of, like I said, a window into someone's thinking. And from there, once we had that, we were challenged to create a video. And our instructor gave us the challenge. And again, this is something you can modify to your needs, but I found it really important or to kind of include this is use WeVideo, right? A district approved app. Everyone has access to it. Create a story. And then you can give them parameters. So our class had parameters such as your story had to have a video clip. It had to have 2 images, a voiceover, and an audio track. And then once you've completed that, post it into your Schoology assignment. The one thing I found very important about this assignment was, out of all of, I think, 7 groups, he gave us 15 minutes to do this assignment. So very few people actually got it done. And it really helped reframe the overall assignment in that, oh, well, maybe we're taking too much time to do this part of it and not enough to do this part of it, or we got stuck having a discussion and didn't make any progress. And the instructor, really great instructor, and I can't remember his name, I apologize. He framed it for us that failure is okay. Failure is not the measurement. The effort in this project is the measurement. So we want to give our students an opportunity to see a challenge and attack it, and kind of give them a opportunity to learn from that endeavor. So I thought that was a really great exercise that helped look at things from that. Again, what's your perspective of our learners? And it kind of gives us the idea of everybody can learn from a simple picture. So I just wanted to share that. I thought it was a very impactful lesson that I, as an adult, learned. And in the department here, I do a lot of video content. And so it even kind of helped me reframe what I was looking into. So I hope that helps in your class environments, and I hope to see some people using it. And again, you could give them 1 class period to complete the assignment, specify that they have all the tools they need to make it happen with their Chromebooks and WeVideo or whatever recording tools they might need. So now what I'd like to move on to is another opportunity that both myself and Matthew had the opportunity to do, was kind of look at learning in an interactive perspective. So I'm going to show you this short video, and then what we're going to do here is, these are 2 learning games that I thought were, I mean, I'm an old school learning game guy, but I thought were really impactful. So I'm going to share this video with you and then give you some resources to help make it your own. So we'll share this real quick. Let's make sure my system audio is sharing. All right.
We cannot hear it.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm sorry about that. Let me stop sharing, and then I will reshare. There it is. Sorry, I missed the little lever. There we go. All right, should be sharing audio now. Let me know if it's not.
Another activity that I use in my classroom is the game of Jeopardy. Everyone loves Jeopardy. The way we use it here is I use it as a pre-test. That way, when I introduce a skill, I can find out what they already know about the skill, just by some leading questions. We start with categories. For instance, here, I tied it into social studies. And our categories are presidents, Mississippi states, and natural resources. Now, this is an after extension activity. We have already covered all of these subjects in social studies. So what I wanted to do is, rather than before the test, give them paper and pencil to memorize or put things on note cards, which is something that we usually do, I opened it up as a game. And so what I did was I put the students in groups, and they actually play against each other. Instead of just 4 individuals, they actually play against each other. For example, a student would say, states for 100, and I will lift this up. And under here would be the question, famous for oranges. And they would respond, what is the state of Florida? And they would receive that 100 points. I don't actually use a timer. My students actually use the Jeopardy theme. So as they're running out of time, the whole class will just start, and they'll go, da na 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 na, da na 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 na. Na, 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 na. And most of the time that brings out the competitive spirit. So we actually enjoy Jeopardy. We've used it for math. We've used it for reading. We've used it for science. They absolutely loved the solar system with Jeopardy. And here I tied it into social studies. I thought it was a great way to integrate literacy with social studies.
So I'm sure all of us are familiar with Jeopardy, the show. It's probably one of the longest running game shows in history.
Armando?
Yes.
You got to stop sharing your computer audio now. You've got that echo happening again.
Thank you. Give me 1 second.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. I lost the toggle, so let me reshare here. Okay, how's that?
Much better, thank you.
Okay, great. So sorry about that, folks. So as I was saying, everybody's familiar with Jeopardy. And the way this instructor did it, obviously it's pretty easy. We put paper on a board, but we live in a digital age. So why not make it a digital thing that we can do? So you'll be getting a copy of the slide deck, as my colleagues mentioned. And included in that, I've included a Slides Carnival download link that'll actually give you the ability to create your own Jeopardy game as a PowerPoint slide deck. And then you can share it in your classroom, have your students interact just like you would if it were a simple press board or a Post-it board. But obviously this is nicer because you can actually just copy and paste facts in that you want to focus on, a lot easier to reuse rather than have to write everything down. So why do I find Jeopardy an important tool? So I liked that the instructor here and in my course that I took at Q referenced it not just a testing method, but a pre-knowledge check. Getting our kids getting the gauge of where they're at on a subject is actually very useful so that we know what we need to focus on. And again, it's always useful as a subject review as well. A good way to make learning interactive and a great opportunity for PBIS integration. Obviously, Jeopardy's money-based or point-based, but with the PBIS program, great opportunity to use another tool that we have in our district to help leverage learning in a positive environment and make learning fun for our students. The next one that I actually wanted to focus on was the old $10,000 pyramid. I hope I'm not dating myself by focusing on $10,000 pyramid, but it was one that I remember very poignantly as a child on those days I was sick from school watching game shows at home. So I'll show you this video real quick and then I'll talk a little bit more about it. And I'm going to have to switch off and share again so I can share system audio. Bear with me a moment. I think I missed it. I don't know why it's giving me all these issues today. Okay, should be good now. Here we go.
$10,000 pyramid is a way to practice vocabulary, and it's a way to get students to have to describe the word without actually saying the word. It can be extremely challenging for them because they have to truly understand what the word means and how to describe it to their partner. They get their role, they're either describing or they are guessing. They have to think of a creative way to hint at the word. They like that they can be loud and they can joke around with their neighbor a little bit, but they actually can't see their neighbor. They're back to back. They end up being a little bit more brave and bold and kind of take a risk in terms of describing their vocabulary words. And it's a way to truly get them engaged and think through how to break down this complicated concept into a simpler idea.
So again, another fun way to make learning interactive. And again, one of the things I liked about this, again, as I stated before, sorry, got ahead of myself. I am providing some templates for you to use. I don't like to not give you a parting gift with my lovely games. So you'll see structured here for elementary, secondary, and then even a Spanish version, should you choose. It's basically just a grid that allows your students to fill out content to use as a pyramid and gives them the overall scoring structure. One of the things I really liked about this one is it's a great tool for fact review or vocabulary review, as the teacher in the video said. So it allows an easy way to review a term without having a lot of writing take place, more interactivity in the class, more one-to-one learning with each other. You can structure it as a peer-based activity or a classroom activity. So as it went to Jeopardy, you could team people up, make it a game in the class, broadcast it on the screen, and use it as an entire group activity. The really cool thing that our instructor highlighted for us is this is a great way to provide data. If he did it in a group setting, for you as an educator on topics that need to be revisited. So if you're talking about, I'm going to use the Jeopardy quote, the state that produced is well known for oranges, and nobody can get through that question, maybe that indicates that you need to highlight a little bit more about that topic, that fact for Florida. So it gives you that instant kind of check for understanding to see if your coursework has lined up with what you're actually asking the students to be tested on. So again, just some simple tools that can kind of break the mold of traditional writing stuff down on paper, make our education fun. I really think that our teachers are innovative, and when I saw this, I was like, oh, there's definitely ways our teachers are using these tools, but I wanted to make sure I highlighted some of my favorites for you. So with that, I believe I will kick it over to Matthew for his portions. Let me stop sharing there. Matthew, take it away.
Thank you, Armando. And continuing with the gaming theme, at Fall Q, one of my favorite sessions was also about games, and it was about the mini game concept. So these are like brain breaks. These are things that you can do like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And there's a learning and gamified element to it. So a mini game enhanced learning through play with elements of gamification and keeping the focus on. And I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I think another reason why I really liked this session was it was hosted by the Rebel Teacher Alliance and Jedi in the Classroom. How can you get better than that? So I definitely want to give them a shout out, and they have podcasts, and they're a fun group to listen to about education and ed tech and gamification. But the mini games, they did focus on, there was three things. They focused on a theme, so there was some kind of theme that was going on with the mini game. There is team and collaboration, and there's a specific task that you're trying to do within these mini games. So those three were definitely highlights of what a mini game was. A couple ideas that they shared out was a creative mini game, and you can use Legos or Play-Doh. And the idea is you set a timer, you have a build phase, and then there's a share out phase from the students. And this you could even do digitally. You could do a Canva. They can create a digital infographic as well. But this could be a way to share, information about book they're reading, maybe vocabulary, maybe idea that you're talking about in that curriculum or the classroom, a perspective on a certain character or history element that they could then share out their example of that. So I thought that was a really neat idea. It's a mini game. Another one, this one is just clothespins, is again, you would have, this is neat, the teams, you just create your teams in your classroom. Each team would create closed-ended review questions. And then each student would get 3 clothespins. And then you're mixing and matching, mixing all the questions that the students created. And each team is answering different teams' questions. But if they get them wrong, they're getting a clothespin taken away. So the team that keeps the most clothespins wins. And I like this idea too, because then it's amazing when students create the questions. Sometimes they're harder than what I would create in the classroom. And students learn from each other. So a student might understand a certain concept. And when they're creating those questions, they're kind of learning, oh, I missed that part. I didn't even know that part for the review. So they definitely learn from each other. One way you can do this digitally is GimKit. So GimKit, I love either in GimKit, you can do where you send it out to the students, they create the questions, you as a teacher approve them, and then you can play the GimKit game. That's another great way. And this is mostly the highlight of what they're doing with the mini games, the structure that you see here. Sometimes they use games off of the store shelves. What we played in this session, I thought was really neat. It was we had like 6 groups of 5 in this session. And in our group, we nominated one person that would go to the front of the classroom. And so each of the 6 teams had had a official person went to the front. The teacher would hand us an envelope. We would go back to our tables, and in the envelope was a question that we had to answer as a group. So it might be, list 5 of this, or list 10 of this, or answer a certain question. And you can definitely align it to the curriculum and what the students are learning, or again, have the students create the questions. So we would work as a team to answer that question. We would then show the teacher the answer. The teacher let us roll a dice, just one dice, and it has Jenga wood pieces. And so if you rolled a 3, you got to pick up 3 pieces. So the task was, what team can build the tallest tower with a Jenga? But you had to answer the questions, get them right to get more Jenga pieces. And that was really fun. And it was about a 10-minute activity, and we learned a ton of good info. And again, these are fun brain breaks, and the students are still learning. So again, the kind of concept, you're asking a question, you're having the students work in teams together for that correct answer as a whole group. Correct answer gets a chance at whatever that game element is. And then it's fun, they're fast paced. And I put a couple links here. We're going to share out the slide deck with you. There's a really great website for talking about gamification in the classroom. These were books that were suggested. I've definitely seen Teach Like a Pirate at different conferences as keynotes. And so that whole Play Like a Pirate, Explore Like a Pirate, the whole pirate themed books are really great for education and making the classroom a fun place to learn.